Hey guys, it's Rachel, just a stranger online who likes to make sim videos. This is my first speed build. I actually spent an embarrassing amount of time on that intro video, so hopefully it was worth it and you guys liked it. With this renovation, I tried to go with more neutral swatches, neutral paint colors, just to try to challenge what I would typically do. If you check out my Instagram, you'll see that I do a lot of blues and a lot of blues. That's basically my go-to color in all of my builds, so I really wanted to do something different, especially with my first video that I'm putting out. I wanted to really use this video to just kind of talk about my channel and what I think I'm going to use it for and try to get your guys' input of what you'd like to see on a Sims YouTube channel. As of right now, a lot of what you guys are going to see are speed builds, as well as you can see in the middle of my room there is a sim. Her name is Chili Riot. She is half alien, half sim, and 100% chili lover. I have a few things up my sleeve with her, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy the videos that she stars in. Right here, I'm working on the foyer, which is honestly my favorite part of any house and or build. It's just like the first thing you walk into, and so I'm always thinking, what would I want in my own foyer? So essentially, Sims is just a place where I can live out every foyer dream I'd have because I cannot afford as many properties as there are in Sims. My go-to foyer items, though, always a nice chandelier, or as you guys can see, the mason jar light from the parenting pack, and always a nice coat rack or something of the sort. I always like having like ottomans or shoe racks or something like that, but I couldn't really find one that I liked in this room, and I was really trying to use some of that laundry day stuff that I don't usually pull out. I should preface that if you see me struggling at any point in this video placing items, please forgive me. I do not have the fancy red table mod, and so 90% of my items float, and I can't really put as much time into clutter because I have to place the item, move the table, place the item, move the table, find the perfect spot. We all know how it goes. I am saving up so that I can build my own computer and I can have all the CC and all the mods that my heart desires, but at the moment I am running on an old shared Mac, so I do the best with what I've got. You'll see in some of my older builds, like I definitely have put the time into clutter. I just, with this build, was really struggling because in smaller spaces, it's really hard to make items not click, at least for me. Hopefully I get better at it and my clutter can get better, but we'll see. This little cat flower plant was actually in my first custom content in the game with game content, I guess you could say. I just thought it was really cute. I was like, oh, I can just stick this in here, and now it's a fancy flower pot that nobody else has. And I'm sure I'm not the first person to think of it, but I've always thought it's like the cutest thing to put in every house. I like making the catch-all table. I right now don't have a house big enough for a catch-all table, so I feel like I'm overcompensating in every single house that I build by having a catch-all table in the foyer, a catch-all table in the kitchen, a catch-all table in the bedroom, just because I love tables to put junk in. With this foyer, I made it a little bit bigger than most of the foyers I do, and it has more of an open concept because typically I do closed off foyers that kind of have like a big archway or a doorway you kind of saw in the beginning of the video. I was trying to do that, but I couldn't figure out a way to make it work, so I thought I'd do more of an open concept. I've used this apartment before, but I've never changed the layout, and honestly, I don't know why, because the way that they had it set up before just does not make sense. Like, I personally think that like my bedroom sure should be cozy, but I want to have a place where like I can live and I don't feel like I'm cooped up all day, and the kitchen and the living room were just so tiny. So I tried to kind of do the opposite of what this apartment was when I first got it, and I also tried to think of, cute backdrops, things that I'd want to see because I think I started playing Sims at like 8 a.m. on Saturday and stopped at 11 p.m. Sunday because I was building this house and then filming Chili doing all of her shenanigans from the opening scene. And so it took me quite some time to go through and, film the build of all of this. It was my first fully filmed build. I've tried in the past to film builds. I tried to do a mall, tried to do all this other crazy stuff, and I just could not make it happen. So with this one, I thought I'd start with something small, something kind of cute, and so that's why I went with the apartment vibe. By vibe, really just an apartment because it's easy and it's small, and I knew that it was something that I could accomplish and showcase some of the stuff that I think is kind of unique, which is really just my cat planter hack, but just showcase stuff and just start off with something small. I didn't want to start with like a 1 hour video as my very first video because who knows, nobody's going to sit through a stranger's hour-long video building a Sims house. So I always like to do this sectional couch thing, and I've never really tested it to see it's functional. I've seen it in other builds, and I've honestly just never play tested it. So if you guys ever play test it, let me know. Does that work? Can my sim sit in that corner, or can they only sit on the two seats, which is totally fine, but who knows? I guess I should probably test it for myself, but I just haven't done that yet, so I'll either probably check a YouTube video, or if you guys comment on this video, I'll see what you guys have to say. I tried to use different carpets this time, and I honestly never even knew that this carpet existed. I'm gonna check and see where it's from. I think it's from the Seasons pack, and I feel like there are a lot of items from the Seasons pack that I am just sleeping on. It was my first like big pack purchase that I made when I got back into The Sims, and it honestly changed the gameplay for me so much. The rain, the thunder, the snow, the holidays, all of it. I love it. If I could just make a thunderstorm in my Sims world every single day, I would make it rain in my Sims world every single day. So I really think I need to go back in and look at all the season stuff that I have and utilize it a little bit more. It was honestly the Seasons pack and the Parenting pack that really changed gameplay for me because I was like always into Sims 1 when it came out. I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, probably even younger. I was super into it. Sims 2 I never really got into just because my parents never bought it for me, so I only had my Sims 1, which was Sims 1 Unleashed. And then I got Sims 3 in like high school, and then I got Sims 4 literally in 2016. So it has only been 4 years, 5 years that I've really been able to like sit down and play The Sims and play The Sims at the level I've played it at. And I love it. I cannot believe that I ever stopped for as long as I did, but especially going from like playing Sims 3 and Sims 1 and like so much time in between, I have missed out. So when I got back in and I got like when I got the parenting pack, when I got the seasons pack, when I got all the packs that I got, it just completely changed gameplay. I did not put my computer down for the longest time. And then for Christmas this last year, I got a keyboard and a mouse so I could play it on the TV. Blew my mind. So I've been a little bit obsessively playing, and especially now that I am an adult and I can buy packs for myself and I don't have to just beg my parents or be jealous of my friends. As you can see, I kind of struggled with this kitchen for a minute because I was trying to make the living room kitchen area open, but I just could not figure out how I was going to do it. I usually don't think through my builds beforehand, and maybe I should. I usually just go into it with the mindset of, okay, this is my goal, this is what I want in it, but I don't really write it down and I don't have like an idea beforehand. I just kind of go, I look at the pieces and, the colors around me and what I really like and what I want to use. I always love the open face cabinets though. 90% of the time, I will use those cabinets. In my house, I took all the cabinets down. We put up open shelving. It's my favorite thing. I just think, why not let your dishes be decorations? Maybe that's weird, but ultimately, I figured out how to do it. It's a nice little open walk-in kitchenette area. Usually in the apartments that are smaller, I don't put tables. I usually just do the bar. Like, why not utilize it? Why not use that? I do have a build that's coming out on Instagram this week where I created a bar through a window from the kitchen into the living room in an apartment. I thought it was a really cute way to do it just because it kind of saved space. So that should be coming out sometime this week that you guys can check out and see other ways that I've created bars in apartments. I always like to replace the saucer lights that you typically put in with real lights just because I think they look more aesthetically pleasing. I do see now why you put the saucer lights in and why you make them tiny, especially for speed builds, just because it's harder for you as the viewer to see what is going on in the speed build. So I do know moving forward, I'm definitely going to make the tiny lights, at least for the speed build process, so that you guys don't get annoyed by the lights in the way. And here I am going through the debug menu. I deleted about 15 minutes worth of footage of me just scrolling through the debug menu, just because, once you find the items that you need, you just want to pull them all out, because if you don't pull them out then, you're going to have to go scroll through the menu again. So I usually have a little stack somewhere in my house of all the items that I need or that I want to clutter with, and I pull them out and stick them somewhere just so that I'm ready for them when I need them. So usually I always pull out those little spice containers, the olive oil thing, the Pyrex dish. I think it's kind of cute. It's just stuff that I'd have in my house. And it's kind of nice because most of the debug objects you're able to just freely place. Some click to the grid, but most don't. At least I found that most don't. The spice containers do. That's why I need the red table. One day I will get it and I will not have this issue. I deleted another 10 minutes of footage of me trying to place those spice containers in a way more aesthetically pleasing than just in a row. But that's what we got. And then we have the infamous floating cleaner container. Had to delete it, can't keep it, can't let it hang around. Pulled out some books, I thought it was cute. Have some cookbooks in the kitchen. Just clutter in the kitchen in general, I've always liked. My kitchen is not very cluttered right now just because we only moved about a year ago and we're still decorating at home, but I like to make my sim kitchens really filled with clutter, dishes, spices, bowls, whatever you could have in your kitchen. Let's put it in there. I love these little dog end things. I think there's like a cat one as well. And then these plants. I found these for the first time in the debug menu and I am obsessed. I probably went overboard with them. I've just never seen them before. And so I was like, I'm going to use these and I'm going to use them everywhere in my house. Chili would love plants. She's a plant kind of gal, so I gave her a lot of plants. I thought it was cute. It's cute when she's walking around because you get to see all the plants in her view and it's just very nice. And then, of course, you have to have your lights under the sink. That's pretty typical, at least for me, that I've always seen a house where you always have to have a light under the sink or a smaller, like, nightlight thing in the kitchen so people know how to get up in the morning, go get their water, whatever. And then my favorite is always decorating the top of the cabinets. I feel like it's such a wasted space when there's just cabinet and wall and there's nothing there. And I think it's a really good space where you can put plants, decorations, some of those like more obscure things that you'll find in decoration objects. And so I just think it's a really good area. It takes a little bit of time when you don't have the mods because you do have to move counters, move things out of the way to be able to put them up there, but nothing clicks to the top of it. So once they're up there, it's pretty easy to kind of get them the way that you want them to be. I always use these like alien heads, I think. They're like coral or something. And I just pretend that they have like food or something in them because who's going to look close enough to be able to tell any different? I always like to look through the windows and kind of see the view that you'd have. Like if you were just passing by this apartment, what could you see through in their house? My big thing when I had Sims 3 was stalking my Sims, so I'd put curtains up and then I'd watch them through the windows and just see what they were doing because I just thought it was so strange like how easily you could see through the windows. I never remembered doing that with Sims 1, and since I never played Sims 2, I basically went from Sims 1 to Sims 3, which is quite the jump. And then here, quick side note, these little vent things, I swear to God, I spent 20 minutes trying to find them. I found them, I love them, I put them in every house. They are so perfect when you need to like utilize a space and you don't want to put something there. You can just pop a vent. Makes sense why there's nothing there because you can't cover the vent or there's no heat in your house. So I always try to find those. They're actually called a simple drain, but they're not utilized that way, at least for me. I always use them as just air conditioning vents in the house as a way to be able to leave a space empty where you don't necessarily need to put an item. Usually with my bathrooms, I like to separate them where the toilet and the shower are behind a wall of some sort because I like to think of it in the sense of like if you lived with somebody or you guys had roommates, you could still have privacy behind that wall. They could come in and use the sink, use the laundry. This was probably one of the first apartments I put the laundry into the bathroom. Usually I make a little laundry room outside of the bathroom or in a closet somewhere, like you'd see in a typical like apartment or condo here in America. And so with this bathroom, I tried to utilize that space a little bit differently. And so instead of just having it be a wall with a sink, I put the laundry unit into the bathroom since obviously she'd need one. Once you got laundry day in the game, who wants to take it out? It was definitely another pack that changed gameplay for me just because any game pack that makes the game more realistic as to like real life, I want to have it. I did get Realm of Magic, but it was mostly because my friend got it and I saw all of the build items and I was like, okay, maybe I could have that. I definitely got into Realm of Magic and like getting to have my sim learn magic and become a dual caster and all this other crazy stuff, and it was definitely fun to like make little wizard and witch babies, but I got it mostly for the build items. I typically stick to the more realistic side of gameplay and not the crazy stuff. And by realistic, I mean typing motherlode and making all of my Sims super rich so that they never have a worry, ever. Usually I'd say I exceed with bathrooms, mostly because I love to make big, lavish bathrooms that have the closet in the bathroom, his and hers sinks, they have chairs and they have cushions and they have just big bathtubs and everything that you could possibly imagine. And with apartments, I feel like it really has to be built for function and not for looking cute or anything like that because it's an apartment. You can only afford an apartment, you cannot afford a super fancy bathroom. So I definitely struggle a little bit more when it comes to making smaller bathrooms when I have to make a smaller, like all in one bathroom. I can definitely make like your half bath with just a sink and a toilet downstairs in the house, but it's when it comes to making these tiny bathrooms that have to sometimes have the laundry room, the shower, the toilet, the sink, everything that you could need in a bathroom has to fit into one bathroom, and that's all you get in the entire house. Apartments, I'd say, really are a challenge build because if you're not doing the fountain view penthouse, you cannot change 90% of the walls. You can't change the windows. You really just kind of have to stick with what you've got. And so I do like to kind of do the apartment builds because it does kind of challenge you as a creator of what you're going to make. Whenever I get stumped on something like a big, big build, I'll usually go and clutter a few apartments, make a few apartments because it kind of helps get those creative juices going again. And then when I get stuck on an apartment, I'll usually go and create the sim that I'm going to put into the apartment or move into that apartment because it kind of helps me figure out who am I designing this for, what am I making this for, and it really just kind of helps you think through what you're doing. I don't know if you guys are like me. Usually I go through and I will build house after house after house until I get super bored, and then I'll build a family, play through them for a little bit, and then build house after house after house. So when I'm going through that kind of house realm where I'm just building houses after each other, after each other, after each other, that's when I'll go and I'll build the Sims for that house so that I can kind of figure out who I'm building it for and just kind of have a better understanding, especially when I'm lost and I don't really know what direction I'm going in. Adding closets has definitely been something that has made me feel like I've upped my game. I think I started doing it a lot more when I got seasons and I got parenting, just because for whatever reason, that's when I really got into my gameplay and I wanted it to feel more real. And yes, everybody has dressers, but I just feel like it's more realistic to have a closet in your house. So some of my houses, I usually would just do these archways because then they can still get to the dresser, they can still utilize it. But then some of my other houses, I'll use some of those big glass doors or I'll utilize some of those wall dividers. So there are some that are like straight, you guys know, like they have some from City Living, or some of them that have like more of an accordion look. And if you have nothing next to it, you can usually squeeze it in there and make it look like a cute little wall or a cute little door. I do have builds on my Instagram right now where I do showcase where I use those wall dividers and I put them into the closet to look like a door. I always thought that it was a really cool way to use it. I actually think I saw another YouTuber do it. I can't remember exactly who I saw, but I definitely got it from somebody else. It was not an original idea. I just saw it and I have never stopped using it since. So I love to go through and put the little closets in and just make it a little bit more realistic. Like, you got your closet, you got your changing space, you got this nice little area just for you. Being totally honest, this is honestly one of the harder bedrooms I've had to do just because it is a lot smaller than I do for most of my young adults. Usually the bedroom is the most decorated, it has so much stuff going on, it's got a closet, it's got a sitting area, it's got bookshelves, it's got all this crazy stuff going on. And with this one, because I wanted to have such a big living space, I kind of had to deal with this tiny little box in the back of the house with one window, and so I didn't want to cover the window up. I wanted her to have enough room to have a vanity and have a closet and have some shelves, and so I made it kind of cute and cozy. It's definitely for one person because obviously in Simland, only one person can get on that bed if it's up against a corner. But I thought it kind of works out. I gave her some cute clutter up on her shelves, used some toys, used some of the skeletons. I love using the skeletons. And I just thought it made it really homey. It made it really cute for her. As you can see, I finally learned to make the saucer light smaller, so definitely in the future I will not have the lights in the way the whole time you guys are watching me do this build. I definitely should have done that sooner. I think the way that this room turned out was actually really nice though. It was really cozy. It's definitely something that I could see myself wanting to hang out in. I always like to just make my dream bedrooms. And then I always have to finish it off with putting blinds in, which I think I forget a lot in apartments because they're so tall. I always think, oh, no one can see in here. But I hope you guys enjoyed this renovation because it's not necessarily a build. And I hope you guys subscribe and watch my next video. Thanks!